We've watched over the course of the last week Jeb Bush trying to really take the hammer to Donald Trump. John Kasich, not as of yet taking the hammer to Donald Trump. Explain why one establishment kind of candidate, a mainstream conservative like Jeb Bush, sees it as being in his interest to attack Trump, where your guy does not.
Look, I can't speak for Jeb Bush. I think it's the wrong thing to do this early in the stage to lash out and start going after your fellow candidates. You saw in the debate Chris Christie and Rand Paul going at it. I don't think anyone thought they came out the better for that exchange. It is early. This early in the race, you have to remember you're still introducing yourself. Whether you're Jeb Bush or Marco Rubio or John Kasich, you need to be introducing yourself to the voters here in New Hampshire and across the country. You need to do it every day, every week, for the next couple of months. And anytime you're not introducing yourself, I think you risk losing ground. Voters don't know. In the case of John Kasich, yes, he's governor of Ohio, but he balanced the budget there. He cut taxes. He created 350,000 jobs. He privatized prison, reformed entitlements. These are important issues for him to get across to voters, make sure they understand where he comes from, how he solves problems.
Senator,
and it's just not smart to be lashing out at every candidate out there.
If you were to compare John Kasich to any previous United States president, who would it be?
Look, every Republican would throw out Ronald Reagan, but I think there are some parallels there. It's wrong to say John Kasich is Ronald Reagan, but he's a governor, chief executive experience. He's a problem solver. He's, of course, passionate about the country, but he has that joyful vision for what America can and should be. It's come across in his town hall meetings, and I think it resonates.
So, Reagan, if you were to compare Donald Trump to any previous American president, who would it be?
Oh, come on. None. Come on. There's never been there's never been a nominee like Donald Trump. You know that. I don't think you can make it.
In what ways?
No political experience. Someone that has supported, supported legalizing 10 or 20 million illegal immigrants. Now he's changed his position. He's changed his position on life. I mean, he's obviously not of the political experience.
We've had presidents who's changed positions.
Oh, well, I think those are some pretty dramatic changes. Single-payer health care, now he's against Obamacare. Come on, you know this. You know that there are a lot of things that are very different and unique about him, and I think to try to compare him to a previous president would be a little silly.
Senator, since all we really ever want to talk about on the show now is Donald Trump, I'll ask you one last Trump question. He is so far, just as John Kasich has not really attacked Donald Trump, so far Donald Trump has more or less laid off John Kasich, and there may be a relation, there may be a correlation or a causation there. But if Donald Trump were to start attacking your guy, as he has others, how do you think John Kasich would handle that?
I have no idea. I mean, look, that's really a kind of a silly hypothetical. This is a long campaign. We've got 162 days to the New Hampshire primary. As I just said, the smart thing for any candidate, frankly, even if you are being attacked, is to focus on your message, your game, your vision for the country. Introduce yourself to the voters. John Kasich has done that, I think, very effectively over the past 6 or 8 weeks. But it's just the start of a process. People didn't think he'd be on the debate stage in Cleveland. We made it. He's obviously made some headway here in the polls in New Hampshire. But I'm the first one to tell him that we've got a long way to go. Polls are transient. And you've got to focus on your record, your experience, and your game.
Senator, John Kasich is doing well in the polls in your state. One of your fellow Kasich supporters predicted to me several weeks ago that at some point before Labor Day, John Kasich would pass Jeb Bush in the polls, and at least in some that appears to be true. Do you think he should focus mostly on New Hampshire, or would you like to see him make a big effort, an equally big effort in Iowa and South Carolina?
Well, I think he will continue to visit Iowa, South Carolina, New Hampshire, Michigan, and really most of the key, the 4 or 5
but in equal measure?
Of the earliest states. You never do anything in equal measure, I don't think. You know, you have to pick and choose those areas where you have the strongest organization. But I think he'll do very well, of course, in New Hampshire. I think he'll do very well in South Carolina, very well in Michigan. Iowa's a caucus format. Again, you know that. It hasn't been a good predictor necessarily of future success. You've got a very spread out field, and it's a challenging environment. But John Kasich's still going to go and compete. And we hope to do well in Iowa.
Senator, you called us silly twice, which can't help but remind us of your father, who often calls us silly and recently had surgery. So we're glad he went through that successfully, and please send him our best. Former governor.
He's doing fine. He should be home next week. And the good news is it's irrefutable evidence he does have a heart. So the Sununus are excited and proud about that.
Who knew? Who knew?